Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Nosheen Bukhari, with yet another exciting episode of iBuzz, bringing you the most entertaining news from showbiz world. Now, what makes today's episode a little extra special is that we're taking you down the memory lane by reviewing the Rocky franchise. But first things first, let me quickly take you to the top 5 stories of the day. Gemma Chan backs Asian hate crime charity. Golden Globes controversy, Scarlett Johansson joins criticism. Taylor Swift to become first female winner of Brit's 2021 Icon Awards. Seth Rogen says he has no plans to work with James Franco again. And Michael B. Jordan talks about filming Black Panther sequel without Chadwick Boseman. And now moving to the top story of the day. Scarlett Johansson denounced the Hollywood Foreign Press Association in a statement on Saturday and urged her colleagues to join her in stepping back from engaging with the group and the Golden Globe Annual Awards. To discuss this further, we have Jessica Hay, who is a TV presenter. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Hello, lovely to meet you. Thanks for having me.
And alongside, we have Liz Dunphy, who is an entertainment journalist. Liz, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So, Jessica, tell us that what sort of pressure through criticism is being built on Hollywood Foreign Press Association, and do you think that it's going to be effective?
I do. I think when the initial report came out a few months back, since then we know that over 100 kind of press organisations have come together, actors, actresses, music writers, filmmakers. I think we're all getting on board and realising that change needs to happen. And we know obviously they've put together this list of reform, they've put a timeline when they want to do things. But I think for these kind of people, it's just, it's just not quick enough. They want change now.
So yeah, Liz, what do you think? That is the pressure going to make Hollywood Foreign Press do their job, and do you expect any results?
Yeah, I agree with Jessica on that. I think the pressure is becoming so heavy now that they're going to have to act. I mean, NBC just announced yesterday that they were not going to broadcast the Golden Globes until the Hollywood Foreign Press Association had, reformed their organization. Obviously, there have been major concerns about racism and lack of diversity within the organization, and also Scarlett Johansson added concerns about sexism within the organization. She said that some of her treatment was bordering on sexual harassment, which is obviously quite a big statement. So I think there are so many, also as well as NBC now pulling the plug for now on airing the shows. Other major players like Netflix and Amazon and Warner Media have also said that they don't want anything to do with the organization until systemic reform really has taken place.
In November, The Weeknd actually accused Grammy of being racist because he wasn't nominated in any of the music categories. And now when we see Scarlett Johansson and Mark Ruffalo criticizing Golden Globes nominations, that also involves the ethnic discrimination. I mean, they did bring up the point where they only have, in fact, just one black member, and previously there was a zero black member in the Golden Globes community or the jury. So when we see allegations coming from the white people, we see actions being taken. But when the allegations are from black people, it's just simply ignored. So what are your thoughts on this two-faced support system?
Yeah, I think, like Liz was saying, I think once you start getting more and more, and hopefully when The Weeknd kind of brings it up again, and like you said, it shouldn't be that, as soon as a white person kind of brings it out, and it could be that it is looked at in terms of ethnic disparity. But I think trying to get more and more people on board, it's just one of those where you can't really control what kind of actions are taken in terms of how maybe big the organisation is. We don't know. I know obviously with this Golden Globes there's lots of other things that have come along with it. Obviously with the kind of allegations that The Weeknd was doing, it was kind of that one specific thing, and I'm not saying that shouldn't be looked at, but I think because there's so many attacks on the Golden Globes, it's now being looked at, right, I guess, okay, they've noticed this and this, we're going to put a list together of the kind of things that we need to improve on. So perhaps that's why more is being done on this kind of argument. I'm not quite sure.
Right. So it's only Scarlett Johansson at present who is stepping back and asking her fellow actors to step back from Golden Globes and its annual award ceremonies. However, the other statements from actors like Mark Ruffalo that we're getting, that he is not so very proud or happy about being a recipient of the award. They're not stepping back, in fact. So do you think that this call for boycott is going to work and people are actually going to respond just the way Scarlett Johansson has, expected? And do you think that this is going to work? This is going to be effective, Liz?
I mean, I really don't know. Unfortunately, I can't predict the future, so I won't pretend to know what the outcome is to all of this. But I do think there's a strong chance that it is going to force more reform. I don't know how many more people will join forces with her in the boycott. I think Tom Cruise has already handed back some awards, actually, because of his distaste with the way things are run within the organization. I assume particularly because race relations and gender relations are so fraught in the US at the moment. Obviously, we've had the horrible case of the death of George Floyd, and this is a really, really big topic in America right now. So I think because of the overall mood in the country at the moment, I think there is a really good chance that more influential actors will join forces with Scarlett and say, no, enough is enough. We're not going to take part in an organization which clearly has, serious racial biases. I mean, I think even a former president of the HFPA said not that long ago that, the Black Lives Matter movement, that one of the organizers of that movement was, they made some terrible remarks about, how the organization was racist and these kind of things just don't wash anymore. Like, people, hopefully enough people now will not tolerate them anymore, and will stand up for what's right and will force positive change in the country and in the industry and ultimately in the world, hopefully.
Right. And Jessica, they have also talked about the reform policies. So let's discuss about that. I mean, they're being ensured by the organizers in Hollywood Foreign Press. Do you think that these policies will be effective? Or it is just because they were accused and they had to come up with some answers, so immediately they said that, okay, we're going to bring in some more diversity, some more inclusivity in the jury. So do you think that these reforms will pay off?
I mean, you hope so. You think how public this has gone, and they've listed all these changes that they want to make. You would hope that they wouldn't then go back on them. But like Liz was saying, you can't predict the future, but you would just hope that with all the kind of focus, limelight that this is getting, the kind of points that they've put down, that they are going to adhere to them and they are going to keep the promises and make those changes that everyone wants to see.
Right. Liz, do you think that these reforms are going to be ample in order to ensure inclusivity and diversity?
I really don't know. I mean, along with Jessica, like Jessica said, I definitely hope so. I mean, NBC said that such scale of reforms were needed that it wouldn't be possible to broadcast the show next year because it would take more than a year to implement adequate reforms. And I think a lot of other organizations have also said that they don't believe that the reforms will go far enough. But I can't say yet. We will have to wait and see. Hopefully it will be. And I think the more pressure that is put on the organization at this point, the more likely it is that serious root and branch reform will be put in place, because they'll essentially be forced to. And it's positive to see that some small changes have been made so far. At least they are now making an effort to hire Black people and to involve them in the organization. So that is one small change that we've seen so far, and hopefully that is reflective of what the future can be going forward with it.
Right. And Jessica, I need your concluding remarks on the thought that, do you think this can be a step towards making the movies look more about people and viewers and not about the awards? Because this has been very disappointing for the actors, and they kind of look very disappointed, and they don't want their movies to be all about the awards. So do you think that this call can be, to promote their work rather than promoting the awards and looking forward to having an award?
I think so. I mean, you think of all the effort and the time that goes into these movies. I mean, the music that's written alongside them, the directors that put them together, the actors, the actresses that are involved, everyone that's involved in putting these kind of things together, to all then be relied on, oh, is it going to get an award? And there's so many movies that haven't won these awards or haven't been nominated for these awards that you still look at and see them as great movies. I mean, I think in the future, there's lots of different, obviously, awards kind of ceremonies and things, but I do think hopefully in the future, once these reforms have been made, you might feel even more empowered to have this kind of award. But I do think, it shouldn't just be relied on if you've won an award or not. It should also just be looked at. I mean, 87 members are the ones that vote on this, and think how many people watch these films. Not everyone has the same views, or someone might win and you think, oh, I didn't think they should have won, and it doesn't change your opinion on that movie. So I do think, it shouldn't just be if you've won an award or not. It should be looked at that individual movie and how it made you feel.
So we hope that these reforms come up with some fruitful results for the actors. Jessica and Liz, thank you very much indeed for your time and discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
That was Jessica and Liz sharing their thoughts on the Golden Globes controversy. And now moving to the other story details. Gemma Chan has given her backing to a campaign raising money for the East and Southeast Asian community amid an increase in anti-Asian hate crime. The actress said her Chinese parents had faced verbal assaults since the beginning of the pandemic and called for increased awareness and support. Actors Chris Evans and Henry Golding have also pledged support for the GoFundMe initiative. As of Monday lunchtime, the fundraiser had raised £38,300 of its stated £50,000 goal. Pop star Taylor Swift is to become the first female winner of the Global Icon Awards at the Brits on Tuesday. She will also be the first non-British recipient of the prize, which the Brits characterize as their highest honor. Only 3 other artists have been named Brits icons, who are Sir Elton John, David Bowie, and Robbie Williams. Swift is not expected to perform at the ceremony, which will take place with an audience as part of the government's pilot scheme for live events. Seth Rogen says he has no current plans to work with his former collaborator, James Franco, in the wake of sexual misconduct allegations. In an interview, the 39-year-old actor revealed that his personal and professional relationship with Franco had been affected by the accusations made against the latter in 2014 and again in 2018. When asked how the scandal had affected his relationship with Franco, Rogen said he can say it has changed many things in their relationship and their dynamic. Hollywood star Michael B. Jordan is touching upon the forthcoming second installment of Black Panther, titled Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. The Creed star, who is 34 years old, also spoke about the making of the film without the lead actor Chadwick Boseman after his death from cancer last August. Jordan shared that everyone took a hit with the loss of Chadwick, so for the team trying to figure out how to move forward, he knew it was not an easy thing to do. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever will hit theaters on July 8, 2022, and the Marvel fans can already not wait. We will be right back after a quick short break. Don't go anywhere, stay tuned. Welcome back. Now, if you're a 90s kid, you might have been part of the fan base for Rocky. And so we're here to tease and refresh your memories by reviewing the sequels of this movie. The Rocky franchise consists of multimedia releases, including American boxing sports drama created by Sylvester Stallone. The first film, Rocky, and its 5 sequels centered on the boxing career of the eponymous fictional character Rocky Balboa. To review this further, we have Usman Khalid, who happens to be a film critic and an actor. Usman, welcome to the show.
Pleasure's all mine.
You look like a real fan of Rocky, right?
Had to honor the icon.
Right. Let's just give an overview to our new viewers, in fact.
Okay, let's discuss some statistics first. So, released in 1976.
Yeah.
I was just 2 years old.
I wasn't even born then.
Here you go. 1976 on a bootstrap budget of 1.1 million, but it raked in 225 million on the box office.
Wow.
So for 1976, that is an enormous business. All right, let's talk about the awards. So Academy Award for the Best Screenplay, Best Director, Best Picture. Stallone
Clean
got
sweep.
nominated for Best Actor. He didn't win it, but he got nominated. And then of the cast, Burgess Meredith, who plays his coach, you know, also got nominated for Best Character Actor. So it was indeed quite a miraculous happening that would chart and influence an entire generation, or rather generations to come. So,
Right,
you know,
right.
huge fan.
Right, and can we discuss a little bit of storyboard, that how it started and you know how it ended, having 7 sequels?
So I believe Stallone was an unknown sort of an entity. He'd already experienced a couple of flops before he wrote the screenplay. It is said that he wrote the screenplay in about 3.5 days. And it was about an underdog in Philadelphia who goes around as a thug collecting rent, and he's sort of working for, you know, he's not a bad guy, you know, he's a good guy, a very kind-hearted soul. So Stallone playing Rocky Balboa is a kind soul, but you know, to make ends meet, he's doing some shady kind of work. So he's going and collecting, you know, sort of like extortion. You know, he's going around collecting funds, and even with the people that owe this money to the thug, to this bad guy, that on behalf of who, you know, he's kind to them. He's not someone who's unkind. So he's not really. You know, he wants to leave this life, and he's struggling as a boxer. Right. Now the downside is that he's positioned as this underdog, so he's a left-handed boxer, and he struggles in the ring.
Right. So it's basically a story of struggle, because probably we don't want to give too much spoilers to those who still haven't seen this movie, right?
So I'll tell you, I got introduced, you know, obviously I was just a kid, 1976. I got introduced to the Rocky franchise by watching, in 1983, Rocky 3. And I would advise everyone to watch Rocky 3 first in order to go back to Rocky. Because this is where he's chiseled, and he's training for both the Rambo franchise, First Blood, and Rocky at the same time. And this is a completely new Stallone, you know.
Right.
It's a lot of gloss, the 80s gloss, you know, that's how it's packaged. And Rocky is more raw. It's more organic. It's true. So when you talk about, you know, the Rocky series, so it's about this underdog that eventually makes it big, because Carl Weathers, who's playing the antagonist in this, in the first 2 at least, you know, he's the world reigning champion. And, you know, there's a bit of a plateau in his career. So they use this as a gimmick, a left-handed boxer, an underdog, you know, they hype up this entire thing. And eventually what ends up happening is that Rocky loses his bout with the world champion. Right. So how amazing is that, you know, to come up and win the Oscar for a movie that in which the hero loses in the end. You know, how amazing is that? So the message coming through is that it's not about winning all the time, and you can you can truly outshine, and because what ends up happening is that he develops this incredible amount of respect, you know, in the audiences, and in Rocky 2 you see that he's getting all these endorsements, and you know, and he starts making all of this money even as a loser, and that leads to the second bout. And Rocky 2 is obviously milking the cow, so they make it a little more camp, you know, the entire script.
Right. So talking about the cast, all eyes go to Sylvester Stallone. So let's talk about him, and you know, I mean, we can talk about him for hours because it's all about Sylvester Stallone. So his investment, his character in this entire, you know, franchise. How do you see this?
He's someone who didn't compromise on selling his script. He insisted on acting it out himself. You know, he had something called Bell's palsy, which is the slur of the speech. You know, he had it since childbirth. And he basically had about $106 or something in his account. So what does that go to tell you? The kind of perseverance, and you know, so the movie itself may have been very motivational, you know, but the actual actor behind it, the story is even bigger. because this is someone who was literally, you know, at the brink of, he had to survive.
Right, right. And tell us your thoughts on the impact of this movie. I mean, how impactful did you see the concept, and why exclusively they chose boxing? Can we talk on that, on this?
I think it was this this era where, you know, Muhammad Ali Cassius Clay, you know, was a huge phenomenon. It's like, you know, a generation later, there's Michael Jordan, you know. These are people who are who come into the world maybe once in a century.
So in later parts, we see that the focus is more on the political side and commercial. So do you think that the consistency was there till part 4, 5, 6, 7?
See, hardly. I'm a huge fan of Stallone, but you would know that he's been nominated and awarded for Best Actor, but then he's also been nominated and awarded for Worst Actor. And ironically, the person who directed Rocky Part 1 also directed Rocky 5.
John G. Avildsen.
Now, Avildsen directed Rocky 5 as well, which in my books and in many people's book is the worst Rocky that came out. With Rocky 5, it wasn't about leveraging on a political agenda like Rocky 4. Now, Rocky 4 had the glamour of Ivan Drago, you know, Dolph Lundgren, you know, tall, overpowering, and you know, and everything. And it was very glossy, very well executed. In Rocky 5, you know, the script is bad. So he's struggling with a brain injury, and he takes on Tommy the gun, you know, as his student, who then, by the end of the movie, abandons him. Now, so it was just badly executed, you know, and
but
just didn't connect.
At the same time, he made some award-winning wonders. I mean, Rocky, the franchise, he was the one who created it. So I think one mistake can be, you know, ignored.
Yes, of course. I mean, it's still worth watching.
Yeah.
You know, Rocky 5 is still worth watching.
Right.
But in my opinion, if you were to ask me which were the best ones, obviously Rocky, you know, because the script is just incredible.
Yeah. And coming to Tommy Gunn and his role, he was originally a boxer.
That's right. So Tommy...
Was he your, like, of all these antagonists, which one of these was your favorite?
Rocky 5, you know, on the whole, I wasn't very impressed with. Tommy Gunn, the good thing about it was that the fight sequences were more real. You know, in Rocky, one of the criticisms for the first fight sequences is that you see the punches going, but they're not connecting. You know, so there's a technical flaw over there. But that's probably because they couldn't do retakes and they were on a bootstrap budget. But with this one, you know, the fight sequences were more real because you're dealing with an actual fighter, you know, a competitive boxer. Sadly, Tommy, the real person, died of AIDS some years later.
Right. So, Usman, tell us, are you expecting another sequel? If yes, what are your expectations from it?
The cat's out of the bag. There is a script, yes.
Okay.
So he's working on something.
You broke the news.
You brought something up earlier about it getting political. So Rocky 4 was obviously about the Cold War between, you know, the US and the Soviet Union. And then, you know, as has been the case with the later movies, with this script, they're hinting at him taking on a young man who's from across the border, the south of the border. So this is Mexico. You know where we're going with that.
Yeah, the wall.
You know, the wall. So, you know, I think Stallone over the years, you know, as he's milking the cow, the franchise, you know, on this side, and even though this show isn't about it, but the Rambo franchise as well, he's done the same with the latest Last Blood.
Okay.
You know, it's about Mexicans, the bad guys. So, yeah, I have a bit of an issue with that. I don't think these scripts are true to his, you know, they're not sincere. They're agenda based.
Right.
And yeah.
Right. Usman, that was wonderful. It actually, you know, convinced me to go back home and watch the sequels. Thank you very much for being with us.
Pleasure.
It was great having you. So I hope this works as a treat to the Rocky fans. That's it from today's episode. We'll see you next time. Don't forget to share your feedback on the social media link mentioned down below. Until next time, take care and goodbye.